one perspective is that we treat these challenging situations as opportunities to practice our our serenity, our equanimity, or to test how much we have gained ground, spiritually. So idea is that more you grow spiritually, more you remain unaffected by the external circumstances.
Right.
So that is the basic understanding which motivates us all the time. Because see, everyone in every domain needs some markers or pointers to know that how I'm doing.
Yes.
You know. So on the spiritual path, this is the marker that or pointer that how much I remain unaffected by what is happening on the outside.
Right.
So more I am remaining unaffected, more I know that I have progressed.
Yes.
So, and this is my personal experience actually. So because like over the years, the same thing happens. Only thing is that the frequency of such occurrences and the speed with which you recover and the depth to which you recover, these three things differ as you progress more and more. So what happens, I'm trying to explain now. So that's a good place to begin. So what happens is, see, we are a three-part being, right? We are body, mind, and spirit. That is what everyone says, all the spiritual teachers say.
Right.
We are body, we are mind, we are spirit. And Raman Maharshi used to say, he brought a new idea. I think not new, I mean, it was known, but at least I have read in his literature. So he says basically there are two only. The third one is a superimposition or is an apparition or what we can call a shadow.
Yes.
So in Jyotish or astrology, we call it Chaya.
Right.
Rahu, Ketu are Chaya planets or shadow planets.
Right, sir.
They don't have a physical body. You know astrology, right? So Rahu, Ketu are not physical objects like other
nodes of moon.
They are nodes of moon, which are basically reflections.
Right.
Moon casts reflection, on the north side and the south side. So both reflections are mathematically determined and they are called as the Rahu Ketu.
Right.
So these are basically shadows cast by the moon and they are moving across the sky as the moon moves and the sun moves and the earth moves in relation to each other. So that shadow or that mathematical point also shifts because of these movements of these three heavenly bodies which are determining Rahu Ketu.
Right, sir.
So and Rahu Ketu eclipse sometimes moon, sometimes the sun, and it is very beautiful in a sense that nature somehow mirrors the inner reality. So I'm going now a little bit deeper and slowly I'll introduce astrology also in my classes because it is a very important subject to understand because somehow we are linked to the nature, no? Somehow we are linked to nature. So, like generally in the Western paradigm, we have an objective perspective. We are the subject and we are seeing everything and perceiving everything. And we are interpreting everything in terms of whether that is useful for me or not, or harmful for me or not. So if it is useful, I want to get it. If it is harmful, we try to keep it away. And that is how we live our life. So it is basically utilitarian perspective, no? You look at everything from utility perspective and utility being with respect to me. So that is how the Western world is organized. And this is a body-mind centric perspective. The spirit is not in the picture in this perspective. In the objective perspective, spirit never is able to enter. So spirit is banished to religion. So they say that, okay, religion is a funny business and people for some reason believe in religion and believe in some God. So, and since, the entire community believes, the entire population believes virtually, we can't do anything about it. So as scientists and as government, which is hand in glove with the scientists, what we can do nothing to our people because they all believe. And for God's sake, the scientist also believes and the politician also believes because they have a fear that what if there is a God? What if he becomes too angry? So from time to time, we should appease him, give some laddu, give some prasad, and maybe Navratri just worship and something. Even if I don't feel the connection, I'm doing it, hoping that that fellow upstairs is not too angry with me. Because what if I have made a mistake? So some kind of suspicion is there. But generally, when they speak formally, when they wear their scientist coat, they start talking very formally. And in that formal discourse, spirit is not to be discussed. It has to be banished to religion. That is for religion to speak about, the church to speak about, the temple and the mosque to speak about. So, but in reality, life is never going to be objective because subject is interpreting the object. Even if a scientist is seeing things with a microscope or a telescope or anything, MRI machine or whatever, he or she is using the brain, the consciousness, to interpret whatever data sense organs are relaying to the brain. That is being interpreted by the consciousness using the filter of the brain. So, subjectivity you can never escape. Now, it is a convenience that we don't want to discuss subjectivity, and there is a reason for this. The reason is that every individual has a own perspective. Now, science is about control and prediction. Science is about control and prediction. So, they want to keep the uncontrollables either out of the discussion or ceteris paribus, keeping one thing at a in focus and other things keeping constant or controlling for them. Scientific experiments, you just allow one variable of interest to vary, the causal variable, and you just want to see the cause effect relationship. In a pure science experiment, I'm saying, not social science, pure physics, pure chemistry experiment, you want to introduce only one variability. The y is studied with respect to x. Y is equal to something plus c, right? So you want to only see one cause effect at a time, and you want to isolate that one cause and that one effect and bundle them together. And other things in the universe, you want to keep them outside the experiment room, is it not?
Yes.
We call it controlling for the other variables, right? So that is a classic science experiment, the most optimum science experiment, and that is how we understand one thing at a time. In scientific method, we understand one thing at a time, one cause at a time, and slowly, we hope that as we uncover more and more causes, one day we'll have uncovered all the causes, and when we have uncovered all the causes, we'll be able to completely control the dependent variable, in which we are interested. For example, what are the dependent variables of interest? For example, health. So if I know all the factors underlying health, then I can have a perfectly healthy life. Let's say aging of the body. If I can understand all the variables which cause aging of the body, I can control and I will never grow old. So like that. So science is trying to create a heaven objective in nature. This is a very important point. So in that objective heaven, you have an air-conditioned room, which means climate variation doesn't affect you. You have a foolproof house, which means all the cyclones and tornadoes cannot affect you. You may have controlled the river, the ocean, the mountain, everything. Your dams are so brilliant that they will never collapse, they will never break. Not only that, dams may be intelligently designed and intelligently executed. Maybe in future it is possibility. So as the river level is rising, water level is rising, dam height is also rising. Maybe possible. They may discover some method of doing it. And as the water recedes, dam also becomes smaller. I don't know. They will imagine something like that. If we can do that, then a major problem is like that. So they are looking at problems in terms of physical problems, and they're trying to solve the physical problems. Why I'm saying this is because body, mind, spirit, if you see, everything is being done by the mind for the sake of the body. If you go deep and just see what I'm saying, I have removed a scientist, I have brought mind. What is a scientist? A brilliant mind. And for whom he is working? All the bodies of the planet. Right? In an abstract way, I'm saying. So the mind, human mind, is trying to create a physical heaven, where to the extent possible all the undesirable variability in the objective environment is controlled and is made pleasant. So that is the, if you can imagine nirvana in a physical sense, that is nirvana. So you can have a very beautiful life on this planet, and perhaps, hopefully, you never die one day. But then another problem arises: population growth. Population, the earth can support only that many beings at a time, right? Then I'm going to the extreme now to tell you how this is not sustainable. So, but then how do we control population? Two possibilities: either you control your lust and never engage in copulation, or you have some perfect birth control methods so that you can have your enjoyment also and you don't produce babies also. Okay, very good. But then there are women who want to become mothers. There are men who want to become fathers. They feel incomplete without a child or the experience of parenting. So at the physical level, you have solved the problem, but at the mental level, you are troubled. For all you know, many strange illnesses may arise because of this psychological deprivation. Who knows? Women without motherhood and fathers without fatherhood, or men without fatherhood, they may become monstrous in nature. So you may create a physical heaven, objective reality of control, but subjective realities of men and women living on such a planet, that may become very monstrous, extremely demonic. So, because many things which help humans to become beautiful souls is deprivation, is scarcity, is challenges, is disease, is death, is old age, is helplessness. Is it not? Just imagine a world without pain, which science is aiming at. Then it's also a world without compassion. It's also a world without empathy. It's also a world without kindness. It's also a world without deep love. It's also a world without deep sacrifice. So, does it make a man a very two-dimensional person? Only X and Y axis are there, Z axis is missing. Depth is missing. Depth of the consciousness is missing. You are leading a very flat life on a flat earth. Earth has become flat again, We have made the earth flat. No round business now. Let the earth spin, but ours is a daytime only all the time. So we will not sleep. The city is gloriously shimmering in artificial light. And what is the point? No, we have malls, we have casinos running whole night, and you can work in shifts, right? So maybe one third of humanity can sleep, one third of humanity can play in the casino, and one third can maybe keep guard. I don't know what, maybe do science, whatever. So you are basically creating a world apart from nature, right? Which is man-made world, and it is heaven. So there are no animals, snakes, tigers, scorpions, no poisons, nothing, no climate change. I mean, everything is happening outside, but you live in your own creation. Even climate doesn't affect you, rivers don't affect you, cyclones don't affect you, right? Who knows, one day we may be able to discover the causes of cyclone and stop the cyclone in the very beginning. Science may dream such a situation, so no cyclones also. We make the whole earth air conditioned, whole planet. So even temperature we regulate, we control the sun, everything. So that is extreme form of, utopia that science ultimately is aiming at. But let's say you achieve all that, then are you happy? Are you happy? Subjectivity has been stamped out completely. Objectivity. There is one religion which science tells this is how truth is. No God business, nothing. We have conquered God because God made nature and we have conquered nature. So by conquering the nature, we have conquered the God. Because when you introduce God and nature, variability is introduced. Funny ideas like karma get introduced. You have done something wrong, so you are experiencing something wrong. He says, I do not submit to such a natural justice. I did wrong, I don't care. I have kept the jailer, the police, and the judge outside my house. I have locked them out. I live in my private world. So this is the Rahu's world, you know. This is the demon king's world. Vishnu cannot enter. Ravan is living in his own palace. He has mastered all the elements, all the forces, and he has become immortal. Okay, but he says, what Ram you are talking about? I don't care. So first day of Navratri, you know, we are discussing this. So Navratri is, you know, to celebrate that God and the possibility of awakening. You know, if you see Navratri, it starts with something called Mahalaya. Have you heard this term, Mahalaya? Yesterday was Mahalaya. Have you heard Sachit, Mahalaya?
Yeah, I've heard it, but don't know in depth about it. But it
So
is related to
so-
after the Pitru season is just getting over, and we give our offerings to all the ancestors, and this is one of the shift in the even in the eclipses and everything. So this is that 9-day period.
yeah, so Mahalaya is the last day of Pitru Paksha, you know, the month in which we give offerings to our ancestors. And it is the beginning of Navaratri, just one day before Navaratri starts. And Navaratris are like, you know, 9 nights, which are very good for meditation. You know, night time for meditators, it's a very good time to meditate, Navaratri. So Nav means 9, Ratri means night. And these are dedicated to the goddess. On the 10th day, we celebrate Vijayadashmi. Vijaya means victory, and Dashmi is 10th. So 10th day of the victory, where goddess prevailed over the demon, Mahisasura. That is a myth. And it starts with Mahalaya. And Mahalaya is the end of Pitru Paksha. Pitru Paksha is the month, you know, which is dedicated to the ancestors. So there's a deep mystery involved here. Now, when I bring such topics into discussion, this is not science now. This is either pseudoscience or it is all hocus pocus, you know. Tribal people celebrating tribal superstitions. That is what science will tell, right? But we are interested. People on the path, spiritual path, they are interested because they understand that objectivity is not enough. An objective heaven doesn't satisfy. There is something deep within us which wants to be discovered, which wants to know itself experientially, and it has devised a creation which is both objective and subjective. Objective as it exists and subjective as it is perceived. So, an object without a perceiver, does it have any relevance or meaning? Like now, when I go to sleep in night, the world disappears for me. So, does the world have any relevance for me when I'm sleeping? No. Why? Because the object is very much there, the world is very much there, but subject has gone to sleep. So, in that sense, if you see, ultimately it is the subjectivity which is the primary starting point of the objects. When I wake up, the objects appear. When I sleep, the objects disappear. Subject is the primary center of the universe. So that is why, you know, like in solar system, sun is the provider of light to all the planets. So like that in astrology, sun is the Atma. No, sun is the Atma, or the very divine spark at the core of every being. So what is the idea? Without the sun, there is no light in the solar system. So we started before you joined, you know, by trying to relate the outer reality to inner reality. So this shadow planets, Rahu, Ketu, we were discussing, these shadow planets basically, they don't have a physical body. In astrology, they are the only two things which don't have a physical existence in the sky. Like you can see other planets, Venus, Mars, etc. You can see. But Rahu, Ketu, you can't see with naked eyes. They are only mathematical points, determined, you know, with some geometry. Okay. based upon the moon's situation with respect to earth and moon, earth and sun. So depending upon that, these mathematical points get calculated, and these points move as these three bodies are moving. Sun, moon, and earth are moving with respect to each other. These mathematical points, which are shadows of, moon's north node and moon's south node. Like moon is a sphere, So north side of the moon casts a shadow somewhere, and south side of moon casts a shadow somewhere. The northern shadow is the Rahu, and the southern shadow is the Ketu. Now, since moon is sphere, two nodes, opposite extreme ends of the diameter, will be always 180 degrees opposite to each other. That is why they are always locked 180 degrees opposite to one another. And these two mathematical points, obviously, when the exact shadow will fall upon either moon or the sun, they will become eclipsed. I mean, to perception, it will look as if sun has become eclipsed. Why? Because moon's shadow is falling exactly at the same place in the sky behind which sun is there. Now, since sun is very far off, sun looks the same size as the moon, isn't it? I mean, how it is possible that if nature or the creation was not created intelligently, how it is possible that sun, which is so many, hundreds of thousands of times bigger than the moon, appears of the same size as the moon? Have you noticed? These are very subtle things to notice. Moon is much smaller than Earth itself, forget the sun. So how is the shadow of a very small body eclipsing a very massive body like the sun? Shouldn't happen, no? Can the shadow of a tennis ball cover a stadium? It cannot. It cannot. But it is doing in the sky. Sun, with respect to moon, is almost as big. No, maybe stadium is understatement actually. It is maybe comparable to a whole big city, and moon is a small ball. It's a big Mumbai city. So can a ball's shadow cover the whole Mumbai city? It can't normally. But the way moon and sun are arranged in the sky, in terms of distance from Earth, that to observer on Earth, they look of the same size. If you wanted to logically think and understand if there is a divine intelligence or not, there are hundreds and thousands of such odd things, very highly improbable things. And one way is to dismiss all these, synchronicities and oddities and say it is random. It is random, which is a very, very, I think, superficial way of relating to life. You simply want to dismiss such thoughts. Why? Because you're interested in getting a private heaven, material heaven, objective heaven. You don't want to ask deep questions. You don't want to grapple with deep questions. They will say, forget these questions, get back to your job. Do your work now. Why you bother with all this? It is useless. What will you do with these things? But to a curious mind, these questions will not leave. These questions never left me from my early childhood. Isn't it magic that the shadow of the moon is eclipsing the sun? Now that is a very fascinating phenomenon. The shadow of a tennis ball is eclipsing a whole city in the sky. So someone or something has positioned moon and sun at such a distance from Earth that the moon's shadow completely eclipses the sun. And the Earth's shadow completely eclipses the moon. Isn't it? So how fascinating is that? So when we look at outside reality from these kinds of perspectives, where we are trying to look at such amazing coincidences, then you develop some kind of awe, reverence. You marvel at the beauty of the creation. So that is one entry point to bhakti, devotion towards God. Right. But then, problems arise when, in accepting God, when you face too many adversities, when you see too many incidents of apparent injustice in the universe. Someone is a very good person doing a lot of good things, and but experiencing a lot of horrendous experiences in life, illness, misfortune, children becoming wayward, and then you start to question God's justice. You impute justice to God, and then you start, and that too human standards of justice, and you start to question divine intelligence. But then our rishis say there's a law of karma, that so it brings a new dimension. So they are experiencing right now a bad phase, means a certain phase of their previous lifetimes when they had done something bad, that is right now being exhausted. They call it prarabdha karma is being exhausted. So unless you have knowledge of these things and also have a deep study of these things, you will never be able to make sense of many things in the objective world outside. So am I rambling, Raj, too much, or
No, sir. We are in the right direction because the points that you gave me today, which I never thought. Hence I'm actually going a little deep in my mind in terms of how can I miss some of these things. Anyway, sir, I'm actually reserving those. I don't want to disturb your.
tell me what thoughts came to your mind?
Sir, while you're talking about the size of the sun and size of the moon, when we see from Earth, both of them are appearing to be at the same size.
Yeah, same size.
Yes, so that's the beauty which I never noticed, even while going through the courses of astrology and astronomy relevant to astrology. So that fascinates me in terms of sun is almost 400 or more than 400 times bigger than moon. And today I'm thinking in terms of when I see from Earth, both the sun is of course star, but we consider it as a planet. But moon is a satellite, but still we consider it as a planet in astrology. But from Earth, if I see the size, in my perception or perceptive eye, both of them appears to be at the same size. So, which I never thought. Hence, I was going a little deep in terms of how could I miss this? So that's the beauty of what you called out today, sir.
No, so like that is one amazing thing. But no, if you want to get amazed, there are many things to get amazed. For example, you take a microscope and or anything, magnifying equipment, and start analyzing any two hairs. Every hair on your head, it is different. If you take a very powerful microscope and look at any two cells of your body, every cell has its own personality. Every cell has, so to speak, its own face, a different face. Two cells don't look alike. Two hairs don't look alike. Two leaves don't look alike. Twin brothers, twin sisters don't look alike. Exactly. So, how it is possible? Unless there is intention to not repeat myself. So you bring an infinite creator into your vague perception, at least to start with, to even to an atheist, when you contemplate these things. But you have to be a sincere atheist. Generally, world is filled with insincere atheists. The sincere atheist is an atheist who really dedicates his whole life to this investigation. So literally, he will start collecting millions of leaves and millions of hairs, and and become an Einstein of investigation, like investigating this, that whether this creativity has repeated itself or not. And then in 80 years, he may die peacefully, finally discovered that yes, it is true. That way, you have taken one step towards God or towards truth. You don't like God, it's okay, towards truth. So, okay, let's call it truth. That truth behind creation, whatever is creating or manifesting, is not repeating itself. Never repeated itself, will never repeat itself. It is sankalpa it has taken. So, by law of big numbers, if you assume randomness, at some point repetition will happen. It is impossible statistically by law of probability that repetition will not happen. Now, to not repeat, two things are required: infinity of choices for any object to take shape, and deliberate intention. So So infinity of choices represents infinite creativity, and intention represents infinite memory. Because unless you remember what you created in the past, how on earth you are not going to repeat yourself? So you are dealing with infinite creativity and infinite memory, which means infinite intelligence. Someone asked Amma once that, Amma, you embrace people for very few seconds and then they go. So what can happen in a few seconds? Why not? So that person had the impunity to suggest Amma that why don't you spend more time with everyone, so that rather than hugging 10,000 people, maybe you spend time with 10 people and transform them forever. Maybe 10 people at a time in one day. So obviously it doesn't work like that. So, but Amma gave a different answer. Amma told Sai that, when you do transfer of data from a supercomputer to a simple computer, the supercomputer is able to transfer so much data in 1 second, isn't it? So he said yes. Then why do you assume that God can't transform or transmit a lot of things in a second? So she laughed. So idea is that she's saying, you think I'm worse off than a supercomputer? I, the creator of everything, am less powerful than even a supercomputer, which is my creation. Can a supercomputer be possible without God's intention or some secret in the universe? These chips that you are proud of, silicon chip or whatever chip, germanium, whatever, is it not part of God's nature? So she said like that. So idea is that she told, don't make assumptions. Things are happening. You just do your thing and leave that my job to me. Okay, I know what I'm doing. So we don't need to. So we are now in a different arena. We are in the spiritual arena. So in this arena, we don't stop asking questions till we are satisfied. And we are willing to speculate. We are allowed to speculate. This subject was called philosophy in the West. So what they call philosophy in the West, we call Adhyatma in the East, in India. Adhyatma is spirituality, but actually spirituality is philosophy. So difference between spirituality and philosophy is the philosopher doesn't have experience of the truth. And a spiritualist has experience of the truth. So when I was born or when I was young, I was a philosopher, but now I am a spiritualist. But to become a spiritualist, you have to start as a philosopher, which means you have to be interested in these deep questions. And you have to be observant. That is why for spiritual seekers, financial autonomy is very important. This I am sharing because at least for your children, you can motivate them to become financially independent, not to go berserk in the market outside, but to use their time intelligently so that they can liberate themselves. And maybe Sachit doesn't succeed, but his son or daughter succeeds, and he or she may help Sachit to also escape. You know what I'm saying? So this is how we think, spiritual people think. So moksha or liberation is of ultimate importance. Have you seen the movie Matrix?
Which movie, sir?
Matrix.
Yes, yes.
So we are living in a matrix, Sachit. And we have to break the matrix. And this matrix is created by God only. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is not that something evil has created it. So that is the whole game.
And we are talking to the oracle.
Who knows? So, if you keep your video on, it will be more engaging because, then, I can,
Yes.
I can
Sorry.
relate
I was
as
just
much as
thinking.
possible. So when family members come and all, you have to talk, it's okay. You can just switch it off. But then generally you can keep it on because it is good that way.
Yes.
So if you say talking to an oracle, but the idea is why will I be so motivated to share these things, discuss these things? There's no reason, no? There's no reason, right? Unless I've experienced something or experiencing something, why will I be so motivated? That is a simple question to ask, right? And if you see, I am going out of my what shall I say, pigeonhole, no? Where they have put me, a professor, a principal, business school, PhD from IIM Calcutta, management background. This is the way society pigeonholes you, gives you a visiting card. You have a CV, and this is what you are. But that is the description of a professional role, professional training. That is the training aspect of my life, what I have been trained to do professionally, and how I am earning my job. But the larger question is it not also a compulsion on my part that I had to do this because I had no money, no financial freedom? Is it not true that all of us have a physical body which needs to be fed and clothed and, a house to shelter, take shelter in, and also family members? We got married, children, wife, etc. We have to take care of them because they are dharma also, and we love our children also. So is it not a compulsion also, a helplessness also? Is it not true? Are you not facing similar things?
Yes.
So when we are born as a human on this planet, we all face similar situations. Unless we are born in a very rich family, extremely rich family, where we don't need to bother about such mundane issues. But then, born in such families, often we go astray. We don't go deep into life. Is it not true? That you can see from your observation outside, among your society that you see. Is it not that the grip of the market forces and the grip of the outside voices is very strong? So that is why, if you see our rishis, when they have created mythologies and stories and all, they have been very intelligent and they have left clues everywhere. So I will now tell about Radha and Krishna. Right. Now, Krishna is supreme consciousness, right? Supreme truth. That is what we believe in India. And we also believe that there was a physical person called Krishna who was born somewhere. And there was a physical person called Radha who was born somewhere. Right? Similarly about Rama and Sita. Now, there is a Ramayana and there is Adhyatma Ramayana, which tries to interpret Ramayana in a spiritual sense. So there is a tradition from earlier also, even before I have come on the scene. Some 100 years ago, someone else had the intuition of interpreting Ramayana in a spiritual sense. Now, I am not saying how accurate that is. I have read Adhyatma Ramayana. I have found personally lot of inconsistencies from what I understand from that ground. But that is not the point. Point is someone got the intuition that it can be interpreted. Ramayana can be interpreted like this also. Not treating it as a literal history book. It's called Itihasa. And treating it more as a spiritual guidebook. Adhyatma means spirituality. So maybe that person had the intuition. Valmiki may have left clues to the spiritual seekers on the path. Right. Now, what I have found is that actually it is true that Valmiki has left clues for the spiritual seeker through a story. And when our rishis call it an Itihasa or history book, Itihasa means thus it happened. Literally, if you translate Itihasa, it means thus it happened. So it happened. Okay. That is what it means. Now, mistake which we have done, again because we are objectivists and we are influenced by the Western thinking, because Englishmen have educated us. Lord Macaulay created the education process that we are imbibing even today in India. He was a British officer in East India Company, Lord Macaulay. So, and I am calling him Lord because the Queen or King of England made him a Lord, knighted him, right? So, because of his services to the British Empire. Otherwise, he was Macaulay only, just like me and you. Okay. But anyways, so in this education system, we treat history in some manner. Then we read an Indian word called Itihasa. We say it is history. And then this history book, Itihasa, claims Rama was born, let's say, millions of years ago from today. Then they will immediately go to the historical facts and they will tell millions of years ago man was not on earth. Man has evolved only recently. So obviously what you are saying is hocus pocus, doesn't make sense scientifically. Then they have a carbon dating mechanism. So using carbon dating, they can estimate the age of any object. So basically idea is science doesn't verify that fact that, Rama was born so many years ago. So on that ground, they attacked our belief system. And then they demolished one part of the story. And then by doing that, demolished the whole story. Because if you treat anything as a history, and if it is correct history, facts also given should be correct. So they use that technique of contradicting and disproving certain claims in that book to disprove the whole book. That's a technique. But the role that is played by that book is more important than stating facts. What if I concede as an Indian that maybe Rama was not born? A real person called Rama was not born. Suppose I concede. Let's say Sita was never born. Does the book become irrelevant? I will say no, the book doesn't become irrelevant. Okay. How? Why I'm saying this? Because Itihasa does not mean literal history, let's say. Now I'm giving a twist to this story. Itihasa does not mean literal truth. Thus it happened, so it happened, is not the literal truth. It is the truth of unfolding of the truth in the subjective consciousness of a man as it unfolds every time. So convert thus it happened to thus it happens. So it happens. Because our rishis are saying that, oh child, why you bother about the past? Past is gone and buried and dead. And in India, we are known to worship death, accept death as a major spiritual reality. This Pitur Paksha that we just ended celebrates death, celebrates ancestors, is dedicated to them. So in India, we have never escaped death. We have embraced death. In the Western society, they are trying to escape death to a heaven upstairs. But our heaven is not upstairs. Our everything is here and now. Heaven also, hell also, Vaikuntha also. Why I am saying that? It is your subjectivity which determines whether you live in heaven, hell, Vaikuntha or earth. I am going very deep now. I don't know, whether I should or not, because my class will become very, very dense and very, very deep, and most viewers will not be able to watch till the very end. But I don't care. It's time to record these things, because who knows when I will die. Better to record these things. Some madman may come and watch. Okay. So, what is not there in our Indian books? Everything is there. Whatever you're studying in science is there in some way or the other. Wormhole, black hole, whatever, everything is there. So here's the story. There is a certain king, okay, and he has died. And his wife is very distraught by the death of her husband. She loves him so much. And she is besides herself in grief. And she is a devotee of goddess Saraswati. So she is pleading to Saraswati, to take her also, her life also, because she doesn't want to live. And she doesn't want to commit suicide because she thinks that is a sin. So she is praying to Saraswati to kill her and to let her go with her husband. So Saraswati appears to her because of the intensity of her grief. And then, she gives her one experience, okay, where she suddenly is in another, dimension where she and her husband are living together. And husband has a very long and very successful tenure for thousands of years as a very, earth conquering king. Okay, the greatest king ever on the planet, and thousands of years she lives happily with her husband. And then in that lifetime, peacefully they grow old, and one day the husband dies. And this time she has no regret in that lifetime because her husband and she had a wonderful and very, very long life by God's grace. Then, as she is experiencing her husband's death in that lifetime, suddenly she finds herself here in this lifetime. And by her experience, subjective experience, in that lifetime, she has spent 10,000 years or something like that. And here, not even 1 second has passed. Okay. So, in 1 second or less than 1 second, she has lived a lifetime of 10,000 years happily with her husband. Now, what does it tell you about time and relativity in the Indian conception? So, they understood all these things. Time is relative. And now she has no heavy heart. She understands. So, Saraswati is the goddess of Vidya, right? So, she has given her that Vidya, that understanding. Death is only an illusion, life and death. If you are born, you will die. It's a part of the game. So in India, we don't escape death, we don't deny death, we don't fear death. We accept it as a harsh full stop. And as a result of that, we focus upon this life, expecting death to happen anytime. Then what happens? The life becomes precious. If you know death can happen anytime, how will you live? Will you waste your time? Just put these things together. You believe that you are a soul. You believe that you are immortal to the core. You believe that and know that you have forgotten your nature. You know that your gurus are telling you that, oh Sachit, you only have to wake up to your true reality. All your anxieties and worries are fantasies. They are irrelevant. They need not be there in your mind. You don't worry about anything. Just focus upon your inner core and grow in consciousness day by day, by the grace of our Guru and the Lord, and wake up one day. That is the way to live. And death is a motivator. You don't know what will happen after I die. You don't know what had happened before you were born. This is the only present moment that is with you. And you know that karma is operating. And what is karma? Karma is like this. Your past is a tree out of which your present has grown, the seed, the fruit. What you are experiencing now is a fruit of the past tree. In that fruit is the seed, right? And this seed in this fruit, why I am saying this? Fruit is what you are experiencing. Seed is the possibility of birthing a desirable future, conscious future, aware future, or rather a future born of awareness, greater awareness. In that sense, it becomes a seed. So future will be a tree which will be a result of how you have used the present seed. But for most people, this seed remains unconscious because they remain unconscious of this entire dynamics, the way karma unfolds. Now, why I bring karma? Because that is how God has designed the play. It is like a matrix. No, that movie Matrix we can see sometimes. Now, right now, visualize a matrix. You can visualize? Let's say there's a big sphere. Visualize that. Maybe someday you and your IT team can help me to create something which I can show. Okay. Right now, I'm showing the picture that I have in my mind. There's a big sphere. You are just hovering outside that sphere, thinking where to enter, how to enter, and planning when I enter what I will experience, and planning from where I will exit, having experienced what all in the sphere. That's the matrix. That sphere is the matrix. 8 billion souls have entered that sphere and playing right now on earth. I'm not counting animal souls and plant souls and tree souls. I'm only counting the human souls. let's say, and you are one such soul, right? Now the game is that you are not allowed to enter the sphere at any point that you choose. You have to have a ticket with you. Now that ticket is provided to you by your karma, right? So that ticket is like the seed, which is the result of your past karma, which is the tree. So your karma is the seed of the tree. As is the seed, so is the ground provided in that matrix, which is the mother's womb, the corresponding father, the family, and then the natural circumstances that will unfold being born in that family. And then a grace factor is also added because your angels and your guides, they will say, I will not abandon you, you go, don't be afraid, we'll be there, guiding your exciting journey through this matrix for 100 years. And that is how you enter. Then what happens? Everything is scripted. Your birth, your childhood, your parenting, your schooling, your friends, your colleagues, your marriage, your children, everything is scripted. Prarabdha karma. Astrology says that everything is scripted. Prarabdha karma. Okay. It's not random. But at each moment, what you're experiencing is the fruit of the past tree. Right? Now, this is true for every soul out of 8 billion. But since most of the souls are in an unconscious state as they enter the matrix, things appear to them to be random. And they never suspect that there could be some order behind this chaos. Right? So the law of the matrix is that as you gain more awareness, you are able to remain little bit aware even as you enter this dense matrix. And this matrix is very dense. Just when you are hovering before entering the matrix, you are very light and very aware, highly aware, your soul right now. But the moment you enter the matrix, you are sucked into it. And density grips you from all sides. Earth and earthiness and gravity grips you from all sides. Tamas, no? Because Earth is a tamasic planet. So once you are trapped inside this matrix, you become completely a body. And that is deliberately designed. Because you are meant to gain experiences in this body which will enrich your soul. So this brings to me a very interesting point. If soul is eternal, immortal, transcendent and Brahman, why it wants to enrich itself? Obviously, Brahmanhood is not enough. And that is where mind comes into picture. So Brahman, Atman, will experience this matrix again and again, or some other matrix in some other dimension again and again, using the mind. So the Atman and the mind, Sad and Chid, they will take up bodies again and again. With what purpose? Is it to experience pain? No, that is not the purpose. What God will want to experience pain just like that? What is the point? Is he a masochist or sadist or something? No, it's not like that. The purpose is to gain awareness. Why? Why gain awareness? Because that Brahman has to become limited first. And not limited, not in a small way, ordinary way, but in a very, very hard way, very tough way. Self-imposed limitation. And he has to break through this matrix in an orderly way, systematic way. Only one way to do that, gaining awareness. So, this density of the body forces the soul to become unconscious. And then the soul gains awareness. Slowly, slowly, slowly gains awareness across lifetimes, gains wisdom, starts to understand the way the matrix is created and is structured and is governed. So there are intricate laws of the universe which govern this matrix, which are designed by the intelligent creator. which is giving birth to me, you, everyone, and sustaining us, and also knows when we will be exiting and what was the purpose for which we came. So every lifetime is basically a slight more unfoldment if it goes in a conscious way. Now, some people unfold and some people become more trapped. Very few people unfold, but most of them unfortunately get trapped. Now, very fact that we are sitting together on every Sunday and discussing these things shows that we are souls who have entered the matrix and still retain some awareness. So we are trying to unfold and not get enveloped by more Maya. And it is a part of our life journey, already decided before we entered the matrix, that one day we will meet and we'll have classes like this. So in a way, we are helping each other. Our angels and our guardians have arranged these classes. Amma being one of them. So these classes have some value. They're not useless. Now the problem with my classes is that I started Krishna Radha half an hour ago. Some guy watching this YouTube video will be thinking this man is mad. He talked about Krishna Radha, I have forgotten. I have not forgotten. But the thing which I am trying to share is so deep that I have to take all kinds of detours from time to time. So I started with Krishna, Radha, Rama, and Sita, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Let me go to that story again. Now, what happens in this matrix is that some people become enlightened. And some people become very enlightened, highly enlightened. And then they write or say or teach certain things which may guide, aspiring souls in future. Because they know that what they have gained is so precious that it should not be lost. So how do they share? Now they are living in a time where average education standard is very low. People are highly superstitious. They believe in a God upstairs. They have no idea God is sitting in their heart. Right? Now to such a community, how do I share my truths which I have realized? If I do a class like this, no one will come because no one has enough awareness. So because also you see, masters when they teach, it's also a function of the circumstances, the environment. Today, if I am sharing this on YouTube, why? Because I know that education has reached a certain standard. That some people who may watch or hear these videos, they may get attracted because they have sufficient development of consciousness to appreciate what I'm saying. But most of them will find it very heavy and run away. That's okay. But the very fact that such things are now being shared openly also shows divine permission. That it is a part of the unfoldment of the planet, that such things happen. It's not that only I am saying, there are many people like me who are sharing such things. All across the planet, hundreds of such people are there. I am one of them. So to come back to the Krishna and Radha example, the word Radha, if you see, it is opposite of Dhara. The Dhara, reverse that becomes Radha. Put the first syllable second syllable first, then the word changes. Am I right? Dhara becomes
Yes, sir.
Radha.
Radha. Yes, sir.
What is Dhara? River has a flow, Dhara. A mountain stream has a flow, Dhara. Anything which is flowing, that current of the flow is called Dhara. The way water flows, that's called Dhara. That Sanskrit word is Dhara. Reverse that becomes Radha. What is the idea? That the general public is running in one direction towards fulfilling themselves in the outer world. Trying to fulfill them in the outer world, trying to find happiness in the outer world. So that is the Dhara, normal current of the world. Flow of the world's mind. Let's say the world's mind is one river, massive river, that is flowing towards the outside. The collective consciousness is flowing towards the outside. That is the Dhara. That here is a person who has awakened to some extent and found that the happiness is inside. Let's say Meera, for example. She understands that only Krishna is worth marrying. So as a child, she marries Krishna in her heart, which means installs Krishna in her heart. Now, Krishna is only an emblem for the Supreme Truth. So she worships the physical Krishna, but slowly, slowly, the inner Krishna draws her in and in and in more and more, more and more, more and more, more and more. And as she becomes more and more one with Krishna, she one day discovers that Krishna is actually my own soul. And then she sings Payoji Mane Ram Ratan Payo, which I have discussed earlier also. Then as she is growing in awareness, she says, no, Rang de Chundariya Syam Piya Meri, Rang de Chundariya. Lal na rangao, hari na rangao, apne hi rang mein rang de chundariya. Which means my likes, dislikes, preferences are immaterial. Oh Lord, you make me like you are. The colors that you like, color me in those colors. She doesn't want tamas and rajas. She wants only sattva now. She has taken a dip in the pond, in the temple example in the last class. Okay. So Radha is going against the normal current. Radha opposite to Dhara. Now you see, whenever Vishnu is there, Krishna is Vishnu, Lakshmi is his consort. Now what is Lakshmi's vehicle? Owl. Owl, right?
Yeah.
Now owl is awake in the night and sleeps in the daytime. The symbology is that if you want to find Vishnu, you have to keep awake, and not literally. Don't take my advice literally, because I will explain very clearly. So people who are listening to me on YouTube, please watch for next 10 minutes. Otherwise, you'll start keeping awake in the night and then curse me for spoiling your health, because there is a meaning to what I'm saying. I'm connecting many dots now. So owl keeps awake in the night and sleeps in the day. So idea is that if you want to find Vishnu, you don't run with the crowd which sleeps in the night and keeps awake in the day. So what is night for the average person is day for you, and what is day for the average person is night for you. Which means materialism, materialistic desires is the day for the normal people. But spirituality is the day for you. Spirituality is the night for them, and that is the day for you. And materialistic desires is the day for them, and that is the night for you. So, third part of the thing you can see in Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the wise man is awake when others is awake where others are sleeping, and is sleeping where others are awake. He doesn't say when, he says where. So the wise man is awake in a certain place where others are sleeping, and a wise man is asleep in a certain place where others are awake. When it comes to the outer world, the wise man is sleeping. He has no interest. But when it comes to the inner world, he is very much awake. He has a lot of interest. And vice versa. So you see, three things I brought together. Radha, Dhara, Lakshmi, Owl, and this sloka in Bhagavad Gita. All these three, if you connect now, you can see a whole story. And then entire Vishnu mythologies, Rama, Sita, Krishna, Radha starts to make sense. Going to Ramayana, you see, Sita's main mistake was what? She chose the golden deer, which means she chose something in the outside. She was flowing towards Rama all the time and suddenly decided to go out behind the golden deer. Now, the golden deer was a mirage, was an illusion. So, Valmiki is teaching outside whatever attracts you is an illusion. And then what happens to Sita? You know that. She got kidnapped. Then so much suffering. Right? So many hardships. So, she got lost from the path. So, if you connect many different books, you can get so many insights for a spiritual seeker. What is to be done, what is not to be done. Also, when they chose the name Radha, they also gave importance to the fact that it requires so much strength to swim against the current. Have you ever swam against the current in the river? It's so tough. When the whole world is flowing outside, including your parents and neighbors and everyone, you want to flow inside, how tough that is. You will face so much opposition. You will face so much criticism, you will face so much pressure, right? You are a swimmer swimming against the current. Everyone is a swimmer swimming with the current. And all these swimmers say you are mad fellow. Everyone is going towards America, towards Japan, towards Singapore, towards this job, that job, and you are being left behind. So you will get anxieties. Am I making a mistake? How can everyone be wrong? And what did I get for all these endeavors? Nothing. Only some satisfaction inside. But is that enough? I don't know. I'm not sure. Are you following me? So this is what. So these books teach you like that. Rachit has heard some classes where I discuss these things, perhaps in the happiness class. Like I used to talk about Ramayana and its symbolism, symbology. So I mean, what I'm trying to say, everything that you read in these stories, everything has a significance, has a deep meaning. So I'll take a pause here and ask. So in your, yeah, Sachit, you can ask. You have been raising a hand or something.
Yeah. So I mean, earlier now, as you said, I earlier raised my hand for that when you're talking about there are many such synchronicities or many such pause that we can take of what randomness is not the reality. This is about the beginning of the session which you were talking about. That time I remembered also one more aspect of this 108 also being a very mysterious number which is always in many forms. I mean 108 is sun is 108 times the diameter of Earth, and there are various such other connections also. If I probably Google it, we can kind of recall what it is. But that was one point earlier when I raised my hand, and when we are talking about how amazing higher intelligence is, that it's not everything is random, and how a simple shadow which we are seeing from here, where the size is completely different, but how even moon can cast a shadow and block an entire sun. So that was so amazing. Whether there are a number of things, and one of this was also this 108. But that was earlier. Now when I raised my hand, I had questions about, like you were saying, sir, about we in general the ideas about when Radha went towards the outside world. That was one of the, wisdom shows, mythology shows that these are the mistakes which people can tend to make. And but then my question was, we definitely have a mind which can discriminate between what can be good or bad. But sometimes, how do we discriminate whether something is going to be good for example, if I am having, say, certain kind of options that is coming my way in my career path. So how do I kind of, should I be able to be in awareness that it might be really good for me or not? Well, because even though it might probably get something better off in certain monetary terms, or if I get an opportunity to go somewhere else out of the country, does that mean that it is not necessarily right? Is it not going to be beneficial as such? I'm going to understand that part.
Yeah, so my answer is a little bit, offbeat, may not be very usual answer and I hope it doesn't, surprise you. See, there are multiple level, points to discriminate. One is, that Krishna talks in Bhagavad Gita about kshetra and kshetragya in one chapter. Okay. So when he's describing reality in multiple ways, Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful book to read and understand, first of all. And it's my advice that you should become very thorough with Bhagavad Gita, because it gives you a lot of insights, tremendous insights. In fact, God is teaching in a very condensed capsule form the essence of the whole universe. So at one point he says, kshetra and kshetragya. So kshetra is this body and the mind, and this universe of manifestation. And kshetragya is the one who knows all this, recognizes all this, which is you, the consciousness. So he says the kshetra is the prakriti and kshetragya is the purusha. Also, so at one point he says that. Another point he says that prakriti is made out of three gunas: tamas, rajas, and sattva. You know what it is. I will not go further. Now combine these two. And he also says that souls progress and souls regress. So combine this also. Combining all these three things, And also this, that we are living in a Kali Yuga, densely materialistic age, where life is becoming more and more confusing day by day. Meaninglessness will increase more day by day. In a little while from now, AI will have replaced many jobs, many professions. And many people will find themselves without any clients, customers, or job. A doctor may become unemployed, and no one needs a physician. Your cell phone can tell you what medicine to take. Your chat GPT can tell you what tests to take. You are having these symptoms, take this test. Go to diagnostic lab, show chat GPT my symptoms. They will, chat GPT is a very good doctor. They will take your test, and they are anyways getting revenue, and you feed the data into some chat GPT. Don't get confused. I may not know the correct generative AI software. You feed that data into that one, whatever it may be called. It is diagnosing health and giving you medicine. It will suggest you some medication. That will be the best medication that any doctor can give. That is a state of the art knowledge, because it is being updated every day. Well, latest research is being fed into that. So your job is only to find the medicine, take it. Why you need a physician? So very shortly, such a time will come when very highly educated people in different domains may find themselves irrelevant. So one human satisfaction is of doing something of use and being useful to people, apart from getting money from that. Even if government is able to take care by giving some subsidy or something, even then the sense of meaninglessness or despair will set in. So what I'm trying to say, in this kshetra right now, Earth, which is becoming or going to become more and more, directionless, more and more confused. In that, you are the kshetrajna, the person living inside your kshetra, your body, right? So what is good for you and what is not good for you? First of all, you have to differentiate good in what sense? Spiritual sense or materialistic sense? There are two different buckets. So good in materialistic sense is relevant only when you want improvement in the materialistic atmosphere around you. Let's say that you need a AC. Today you can't buy. Or you need to replace your car, and today you can't buy. Or you want to build your own house or buy your own apartment, and you don't have today and you want to buy. Till that point, that will enter my equation as important objective. But the level at which your financial status is sufficient, level at which you have become sufficiently rich to buy all these things of necessity, at that point, these considerations should not be entertained. They are irrelevant now. So changing location or changing job just because of this is unnecessary hassle. Because we are more of a seed growing in as a tree than a racer on a racetrack. We humans are more like a tree which grows. So it is better to stay put in one place and using that as a base travel around the world in case you want to travel, than to be becoming a vagabond and just roaming around the world without any center. Just like you have a calm center inside the soul, you should build a very calm center on this planet, your home. And when you call it a home, better to die in that home and then roaming around here and there. Why? Because sattva is calm, and rajas is turbulent, and tamas is unconscious. So obviously you choose calmness, serenity, tranquility. Second reason, one is this. Second reason for building a home and staying in that home and trying to transform that home into a temple is that a home is a kshetra. And a kshetra where you live should be infused with sattvic vibrations. Because your body, mind and soul will grow more exponentially in a sattvic environment. Your family and your children also will grow exponentially in a sattvic environment, towards sattva. So the outside world is anyways gripped with Radha, no, Dhara, current outside. And that current is becoming more and more forceful day by day. Is it not? So in such a atmosphere, it's good to build an island, your own island in which you live peacefully. And money is important to build that island these days. So in my understanding, a standalone house is better than a shared apartment. I mean, if I have a choice, I will buy or build a standalone house. Why? Because I want my own space. And I don't want contamination to enter my space as much as possible. I know there's a limit to what I can do, but still. Even a maid servant coming is bringing a new vibration. And if she's cooking your food, she is cooking that food with her vibration. So as you become more conscious, more consciously aware, you start to notice many things, even these such things. They become important. They may not be important to an average person, but they are of extreme importance to us, the spiritual practitioners. The chapati or the dosa that I'm eating, what kind of vibration has cooked it? Because that is going into the food. And that will contaminate or influence your subtle body, subtle mind. So, am I answering your question? So first of all, have clarity about what is necessity and what is a want. What is a need and desire? Differentiate a desire from a need. Try to see through desires and slowly, not violently, but slowly, with awareness, they will start to fall away. You will know that this is unnecessary desire, it's a redundancy, it's a vasana. So rather than going to a certain place to do a job there, better to go and spend 1 week and come back. Let's say I want to go to Hawaii. Now for that I don't need to live in Hawaii. Or I want to go to Goa. I don't need to live in Goa. Let's say I want to drink beer on the sea beach in Goa. That is good, go and do it. It's a vasana, exhaust it. But there is no point not drinking a whole life, beer on that sea beach in Goa. That way you are going towards reverse direction. So even as you drink beer, on the sea beach in Goa, become aware, be aware that this is a vasana I am exhausting. It was an overpowering vasana. If I had not done this, I would have felt unsatisfied. Maybe in childhood somehow I got this idea that is what I want to do. They call it dream. No, my dream is to drink beer or champagne on Hawaii beach. Good, go and do it. But understand why you are doing it. You are satisfying the inner child in you. That unbaked part, the unrefined part, the childish part, the unaware part. So as I told last class also, we don't need to be violent with our desire side, but we need to be little bit, like a parent, indulge it little bit, specify it little bit, as much as is needed, but don't become addicted. That is first level answer. And second level is see the trends of the future. The job that you are doing, your role, how safe that is. If you need your job, the kind of income that you are getting, that is absolute necessary to you, you are financially not yet independent, then protect that. Be very updated professionally. All the trends in the environment, the market, which helps you to stay updated and stay relevant, stay current in your job. Do that. That is your dharma. And you are equipped to do that. Right? Arjuna says, no, if doing tapasya is higher than the Kshatriya dharma, I will go and take sannyas and do tapasya in the forest. Krishna says, no, your dharma is to fight this battle because you are a Kshatriya. So why he told that? Because it's not a prescription based on some idealism. It's a realistic prescription. He says that you are made like a Kshatriya. You are born to a Kshatriya family. Your blood is Kshatriya. Your whole constitution is Kshatriya. You are not suitable for tapasya. You are too much rajasic to just go renounce the world and do penance in forest, because there you will miss this. You will come back and again fight. Now, your arms will twitch unless they have fought for 15 days. You are made like that. So what he's saying is honor your inner disposition. Similarly, no, you also honor your disposition. You know better than me what you are, who you are. Given that who you are and what you are, do that satisfies your innate constitution. But at the same time, also understand that you have to keep moving in a correct direction. No, Radha Dhara, you have to go deeper in your own inner self. So choose a job, last part of my answer. So choose a job which does not disturb your journey towards yourself. So any job which extracts too much energy out of you or which demands 24/7 attention to that is counterproductive. I will gravitate towards greater and greater autonomy. Any job which gives me higher amount of money per hour is better than which gives me lower amount of money per hour. Why? Because in less number of hours I can meet my needs. That is why even entrepreneurship or my own endeavor or even earning money through this platform is where you can just work on projects. There are many what they call where you can work for 3 hours, 4 hours. You can take a
Freelancers.
freelancing job, right? You can be a freelancer also part time. You may get paid in dollars staying in India. So even supplementing your income is good. Why? Because you will gain financial autonomy sooner than later. So that is a very, I think, very practical type of advice I'm telling you. The goal is to attain financial autonomy and attain it as quickly as possible. And the last thing which I will say is that, also one thing to neglect is what people think about you and what people say about you and what you are doing. That should never be relevant. That is never relevant. So we should keep away from toxic people and we should try to build our own boundary. No, and that boundary is filled only with people who are like-minded and who understand us, appreciate us. There may be relatives, even blood relatives, who may not understand us, but then they can remain relatives that we meet only during weddings and such things, and don't become very close to us, from at heart to heart level. We need to understand who is of what disposition. See, I'm not going and interfering in their life, no. I'm not saying you become a spiritual, sadhak or something. So vice versa also is true. They should also not tell us what we should do. You do your business, let me do my business. And that is a very, very practical advice which I'm giving because I have done that in my life. It's not that I'm not practicing. I'm practicing that because I understand that not everyone can understand me and my motivation. But then beyond a point, I can't help convince other people. I can't convince other people. I am convinced that what I'm doing is good and I'm living my life like that. And it has helped me. How I know my personal subjectivity has grown. Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. You've answered. So it is also a certain similar thought process which I was also thinking on. Definitely, all those three different parallel self, like for example, one is about financial autonomy, which you're talking about. It should be until the kind of level where you are able to meet those needs, and then it's not only completely beyond that or going behind the in a rat race as a mad manner. Second is all the other aspects, like you said, that even I'm having that in my mind, especially about how all these aspects affect us, for especially if we are in this path of spirituality, about having your own space of calmness, and I'm able to relate to that aspect very much. And also in the end, the last about being relevant, all of those aspects, I completely relate to that, and I am able to get the direction. So yeah, I think you've answered that.
Yeah. So if you remember in one of the classes I had told about that Kachapautar.
Yeah.
So there, I had explained to you that Kachap or tortoise is an amphibian creature. So if you look at it symbolically, it is able to remain in earth and in water. So idea is that when it is going to the job or going to relatives' place, it can relate to them at their level. But it still has not forgotten its basic native place, the water,
Yeah.
where it is at home.
Correct. So even if the position, even if whatever irrespective of what I choose, that if that is not impacting my current, seeking and other aspects, then that's also
Yeah, like for example, today I told you I am first 3 hours of my Sunday is given to God, right? Now that is basically a choice that I can exercise because Sunday is a free day, a holy day for me, and on that day I can little bit, do little bit more for my own development. So for first 3-4 hours basically, and if I were not having this class, I may even remain in meditation for 4-5 hours also. Idea is that because more I remain within, more I grow in consciousness, and that I am experiencing. It's not something which I need to ask anyone. It is a subjective experience that I'm experiencing. So, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Because suddenly notice is coming, Raj. No, I can admit Raj and something, I don't know.
I think,
Then the whole screen becomes blank. So, I'm citing my example because I can only tell from my experience, the way I have lived. Maybe that may help you and Raj also, and other folks also who are listening who are similar to us. Is that, see, why we are going out in the world in the first place? When I say world means job and such things, which are forced, because I need that money. So everyone who is in my stage, middle class family, they all need that. But we have to understand that that is a compulsion. So we need not sell our soul for that. I may be doing any job, but I need not sell my soul for that. I need not sell my connection with God for that. So when it comes to that, choosing God and choosing a job, I will any day choose God. It is better to take a break for 3 months, and find a good job than to, simply jump in to a mad water or mad place. And these days, with your skill sets and freelancing, possibilities, it's possible to earn money from multiple sources, and also the money that you earn, invest it properly so that you can start getting stream of revenue from other sources. Like maybe you purchase some property, then rent is coming or something. Know what I'm saying? Maybe interest is coming from fixed deposits and such things. So at some point of time, your support, income or subsidiary income may also start to grow. And as it reaches a certain level where you can meet your needs, financial needs quite easily, and then as your children start to grow and then they also become self-sufficient, you have to support them. Then at a certain age, certain stage of life, you know that you have done enough to take a break a little bit and focus more upon the inner life. Anyways, you're focusing upon the inner life, not neglecting. So idea is that with everything at our disposal, we have chosen divinity. And we are aware that practically speaking, it's not possible to dedicate completely to divinity. So we are only making compromises for our financial support. More than that, the outer success doesn't matter to us. So even if I become CEO, it's okay. But then the choice is whether I want to remain CEO or I want to go a little bit into a easier job where I will get more space. So if my CEO job is taking all my space and all my time, then I will quit such a job. Because for me, that is not what is important. Because I know that all that will remain behind. As I exit the matrix, that is not what I'm going to take with me. What I'm going to take with me is my state of awareness. So the goal is when I enter the matrix, I am at a certain level of awareness. And when I exit the matrix, I'm at a higher level of awareness. That is the objective. That is the take home. At what level you enter and what level you exit. So if you're at a certain level of tamas and rajas and the sattva, you want the consciousness to change. More sattva and less rajas and tamas. That is how you want to exit. So as long as you keep these things in mind, then you have to do self-assessment. Are you moving in the right direction? So simple thing is, every moment of your life, try to live consciously and see that your mind To what does it get tempted? When it becomes intimidated, when it becomes frustrated, when outside reality has disturbed it. These are the moments when you work upon yourself. If outside reality disturbed you, you go back to your sadhana, go back to your breath, go back to whatever you are doing, chanting of mantra, anything that you are doing, till you recover your equanimity. If something is tempting you, understand that, be aware of that. Even as you fall for the temptation, you may not be able to remember at that time, but try to recollect your memory as soon as possible. Have that intention in your subconscious mind that, okay, I have fallen, but I don't want to remain fallen. Not only that, also train your mind to not feel guilty. Don't beat yourself up for having failed again. I keep failing millions of times, but I still keep happy because I know that the trend is upwards. These are blips. Blips may be there, but the curve is going up and up and up. You know what I'm saying? More and more light and more and more light and more and more light. But darkness is very much there in me, so some blips will happen. Sometimes I will fall. So I think I have answered your question. So the idea is focus upon the trend line. It should keep going up, up towards greater depth, greater depth, greater depth. Lakshmi is owl. That may be motivator. Okay, other people are like, awake in the, night where, awake in the day, which is night to me. So this is a metaphor. Okay, they are running after money. No, I need money only this much. They're running after fame. No, I don't want fame. It's okay. If it comes, it's good. But I'm not running after fame. Status. Okay, it's good. If it comes, people respect me, that's good. But I'm not running after it. So, this is very abstract what I'm saying. It has to be experienced in your own life to be able to make sense. It will be a very heavy answer for most people because most people are not living life like that. But then those who respond or resonate with these answers, then these videos are meant for them. Because these are not tips that I'm giving from my own life experience. Otherwise, I would not have been able to progress in my life. Even spirituality on earth needs some financial support. So this is how we should decide.
Sure, so thank you. That helped.
So there are professional aspects, there are financial aspects, and there are personal spiritual aspects. All these three things you keep in mind. And never forget the vibration part. Yeah, so why I'm saying, because let's say that you want to go abroad. But if you're going in a very, very highly secular country and which is very, very materialistic and very heavy and dense, understand that whole kshetra, that whole country is dense, tamas. So you and your aura will be in that. Because wherever you will go, in whichever country you will go with your aura also. Is it not? So be very aware that you are taking a risk, that your aura may be damaged. And right now in India, and India is India, I mean the whole kshetra, India, is always getting spiritual replenishment. This Navaratri will charge India like anything. Millions of souls are meditating and doing sadhana right now, heavily. So India is getting charged up spiritually right now. This Navaratri will again give a huge booster dose to India in terms of spiritual vibrations. So in India, whenever you like, you can go to Tirupati, you can go to Rameswaram, you can go to some place which is spiritually charged. It is called pilgrimage, Tirtha. Why we go to such places? Because these places charge our aura. It's a good idea to go to such places. When Amma is around, go and meet Amma. Stay with her for some time, maybe half a day, a full day, singing bhajans, kirtan, etc. Maybe doing seva in a thing, washing clothes and stuff, with utensils and all that. Seva, do seva with her. All those things, cleans the aura. They make our soul lighter. That is the way to go. So basically, to give a bottom line to all this discussion, half an hour, is that to grow spiritually is the main goal. Everything else should fall in line with that. Okay, so I will take a pause now. I have answered your question. So, Radha, Krishna, I covered, no, Dhara, Radha, and all that. Rama, Sita, already I told you. So basically, Sita made a wrong choice and suffered. She was flowing towards Rama and had married Rama and suddenly went away from Rama. Rama tried to stop her, but she didn't listen. So the dialogue between Rama and Sita is a dialogue between the conscience and the person. Inner conscience is saying, don't do this, but you go ahead and do it. You fall for the temptation. Then what happens? Then you are taken for a ride in the wrong direction. And that whole story tells that Rama or the soul is helpless. Ultimately, decision is taken by the conscious ego. Once the ego has decided, soul has no option but to go along with that. So that is a very poignant story, because that tells you that soul, being a part of the omnipotent God, is helpless in front of the ego. That is our current reality. Why it is so? Because tamas dominates. In our kshetra, in our aura, in our system, tamas dominates right now. So, one way, it is related in our ancient literature, in terms of yugas, the Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. And they say as dharma dies more and more or falls away more and more, the yugas change. Now, one way is to look at it in terms of a collective understanding that the whole planet is going through such phase. But another way to look at it is how I am right now, where I am right now. In my inner kshetra, which is like if I compare my body to one field, this is a very useful way of looking at life. Maybe it's a high time that you start thinking like that. That, like when Raj is thinking, Raj is one kshetra. Raj's wife is another kshetra. Raj's child is another kshetra. And neighbor, everyone is a kshetra by themselves. Then the whole apartment block is one kshetra. Then the whole housing complex is another kshetra. It's like, kshetra within kshetra within kshetra, field within field within field within field. Then that whole block, then that whole city, then that whole state, then the whole country, then the whole continent, then whole planet. So we are basically in a matrix which is composed in the form of fields. So there are fields within fields within fields within fields. And Earth is the one big field in which we live. And this Earth field is impacted by the fields coming from all the planets in the solar system and the sun, which is what astrology is all about. Trying to see the influence of those fields upon Earth field. And I being in Earth, impact upon me as a person. I will take a pause. So this trend of thought, what thoughts triggers in your mind when you hear it like that? When you think of this life as like that, composed of so many fields. You asked about composition of truth last class. This is another way of looking at composition of truth. Truth is composed in many ways. One way is this. How you respond to this, Raj?
Yeah. Sir, in fact, I was wanting to ask you one question with respect to the matrix. So when we enter the matrix with a ticket, the ticket is nothing but a person has to go and take a birth in a specific place. So if we connect that with the three tattvas, tamas, rajas, and sattva, I'm going in the reverse order because it's a journey from unconsciousness to the consciousness. So between unconsciousness and consciousness, there is a turbulence. Because, in my opinion, I get in there because generally I get in the turbulence while I'm trying to achieve the consciousness. I'm either pulled into this side of it while I want to go up towards sattva. Rajas is actually pulling me down towards tamas. So is this the journey that every human being takes on earth, right from their birth till they attain the consciousness level? So what is your thought on this, sir?
Yeah, so better to think of this in terms of a spectrum than to get bogged down by this or that person. So you visualize a spectrum where tamas is on the bottom, rajas in the middle, and sattva is on the top. And As you gain more and more sattva, your chitta becomes more and more transparent and more empty. It's like, mirror, no? It's, see, like everything reflects on a mirror, right? In our case, everything reflects on our chitta. Sense organs are making sense of the outer reality, and the brain is interpreting that reality, right? So the sense organs and the brain and the way they are functioning the way they are functioning because of the constitution of your chitta, which is nothing but a subtle body. Subtle body is your chitta, your mind, right? I mean, causal body and subtle body both combined together are called the chitta. Causal body is the basic reservoir of karma from where the subtle bodies are created, lifetime by lifetime, right? But they represent the chitta. And what is chitta? Chitta is basically consciousness which has become conditioned. So I was telling in the last class, visualize the ocean of light. In that ocean of light, certain portions of light have become like icebergs. And these icebergs have taken in other qualities which are not of the same nature as the resplendent light. It is like light has become dirty in many places and has become solidified. So Amma says creator has become the creation. Creator is consciousness, but consciousness has become the creation by developing contamination and by getting frozen. Frequencies have become lower and denser, and hence we have become solidified. If you look at genesis of the of the creation, it's Bhagavatam describes it. First ether was produced, akasha was produced. The supreme truth contracted to produce the akasha. Then akasha contracted to produce the air, and like that. Air became cooler to produce the water. Air lost fire to become water. Then water lost more fire to become earth. Earth gains more fire, becomes water. Water gains more fire, I'm reversing now, becomes air. Air gains more fire, becomes akasha. And akasha gains more fire, becomes Brahman. Brahman loses fire, becomes akasha. Akasha loses fire, becomes air. Air loses fire, becomes water. Water loses fire, becomes earth. And we are reversing. That is why when you do tapas, you generate heat. You want to gain fire. You want to gain Shakti. Fire is Shakti. And the matter, that earth, last state of consciousness, is filled with gravity, which is nothing but tamas, downward pull of the tamas. It's a very beautiful metaphoric description. I think that we should not take it literally and start die thinking how I have become earth, how to become space. That is not a correct way to think. It is simply a description which may not be so scientific as symbolic. Are you following what I'm saying, Raj? We should not become too much bogged down by whether it is scientifically true or not. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Basic drift is like that. So, for example, if you use the 5 elements, I used to teach in happiness course, in a helpful way, it is like this. If you are more earthy, like, in astrology, we have earthy houses and fiery houses and watery houses, and what I'm saying? Different trikonas of different types.
Yes.
1, 5, 9 are fire, 2, 6, 10 are like earth, 3, 7, 11 are like air, and 4, 8, 12 are like water signs, right? So that is what I'm saying. So if you look at the elements, when you are very earthy, let's say, that is very tamasic. How your mind will function? You will value materialistic things more. Money will be more important. Power will be more important. What you have accumulated will be more important. Savings in the bank will be more important. Number of friends, powerful friends will be more important. You are more of a quantity-driven man. Softer things like art, beauty, they may not interest you. You may tell your son, why you are worried about poetry? Start studying, study commerce. You can become a chartered accountant. Right? And he wants to write poetry. So you see, it's a different vibration. Air element wants to write poetry. Earth element says no, try to earn money. It is not that he is wrong or he is wrong. It is different dispositions. So you should use these elements, nature, understanding of the elements, to assess yourself where you find yourself. It's another way to look at yourself. There are multiple ways to assess ourselves on our journey and also to gain inspiration. Let's say I'm more earthy, right? And then someone is showing more watery signs, tendencies, like how they relate. Let's say that we are in an argument. If you are very earthy, we'll be rigidly sticking to argument. Because no solid things will break their head only, no? None will budge.
Yep.
So it will lead to utter chaos and conflict ultimately. Maybe breakdown of relationship. So two earthy people, if they are very adamant, then they cannot live together. Water element should be very much present in a marriage, in a friendship. What happens in watery element? When you know that other person will not budge, you yield for the time being. Water is more flexible. Water can flow in the direction of the flow. It can make compromises. It can take the shape of the vessel where it enters. So if you have watery element in you, you can very easily blend in any atmosphere without disturbing anyone. You become a more pleasant person. You become more flexible. People like to work with you. Right? 1 second, Sachit. Huh? Then you have become too watery, very cool and quiet and calm, and people love you and adore you. But then what happens? When the time comes to express your opinion, you remain quiet. Then people say, you don't have any fire. You should speak up also sometimes, no? So change will not happen with a water element. Change requires fire. If you're a leader, you need some fire also. Because at certain times you have to express your opinion. And maybe sometimes overrule other people. So fire is needed also. But fire is not the same as earth. Earth is fighting at the same level as earth. But fire is fighting from a higher level. If you don't listen to me, I'll burn you. That is power element, no? If you don't listen to me, I can chuck you out, I can punish you. So fire can punish, fire can chuck you out. That is also needed. But fire is useful only when your basic nature is water. Because after expressing the fire element, you can go back to your watery nature. Krishna was like that. So more elements you integrate, more complete personality you become. Then what happens? Fire is not enough. Because you can only lead a team with fire element. But earth is a very big place. So with fire element, you can succeed in your own organization, with your own organization. But you will still not be praying Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. That air element. So air is what? Whether it is sinner or a saint, both breathe the same air. Air never says, I will not become available to the sinner. It gives equal air to everyone. So with airy nature, you don't discriminate between India or Japan or Timbuktu. Everything is the same. You become impartial, you have equivision. You transcend narrow sectarian views of race, gender, class, country, religion. You embrace all as your own. Heart becomes very expansive. One becomes very empathetic as you embrace the air element in your personality. You can become very good listener. When you speak everyone's language. You speak for everyone. You become more universal. People love you and adore you more. As a leader, you grow to the next level. Now you are like Kalam. Kalam, I can see very well that he has fire, water, and air both, all three in him. Though he came from earthy environment, very poor family, but he could impact so much because his personality was so complete. Right? And then what happens? You become even more subtle. Because your consciousness is becoming more and more subtle, sattvic. So as it becomes even more subtle, you start to notice space. You start to notice vibration of different spaces. You can pick vibrations of different spaces. And at that level, you have become a very deeply spiritual being, because then, like Satit's question, if you had that sensitivity, that is like what is called intuition. You will know what is good for you. When the space element awakens in you, you become very intuitive. You know what is good for you, and you know which space is good for you. You know which person is good for you. You can pick vibrations, because everything exists in space. So when you become filled with space element, you can pick vibrations. You become very intuitive. But still not super conscious. You are very intuitive and very highly refined consciousness, but still not enlightened. And then after that level, if you become even more subtle, then the Atma reveals itself to you. The Supreme Truth. Have I answered your question? I think I went too deep. Or
No, sir. It's very good for me to understand. But for me, takeaway from this one is, sir, being more fiery, earthy, and watery in terms of our personality, also adding up more personas to our personality makes a complete.
Not more personas, more depth.
More depth.
Personas are masks, more
Right.
depth.
Yeah.
You want to drop personas and become a person.
Right.
Deeper person.
Okay.
A person rooted more and more deeply. It's as if in that matrix, you are born on earth and you are gaining more strength. Then, as you go deeper into earth, you find water. Where you find water? In earth. You dig, no?
Yes.
Then you find water. As you dig deeper, you find the magma, no? That smoldering magma, which sometimes releases as volcano.
Right.
Even that you find. And as you go deeper, you find that subtle body, airy type of thing, something, which is like same in everyone. Mind layer, that is the mind layer, no? Everyone has a mind. And at that level, you see there's no difference. We all are carrying the same mind, and it's basically one mind only. It's only superficial differences. Some gas is carbon dioxide, some gas is oxygen, but everything is a gas only. It's like that. And it's okay. So that is again colored by karma and stuff like that. Beyond that, there is no karma, space only. But inside the space, karmas are there. The currents, the vibrations are there. So I'm describing composition of truth more and more richly. Your question was not easy. So many layers of the answer. But how beautiful this is, right? How you respond to my answer? You followed what I'm saying?
Yeah. Very much, sir. Sir.
So you give a summary of what you asked and what you understood, so that the viewers who may watch this, they may make sense of it. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, my question was, when anybody enters the matrix, from where the journey starts? Does it start from tamas to rajas to sattva, from unconsciousness to turbulence, then to the consciousness? So that was my question. And you explained me from the creator, how creator created akasha, then air, then water, then earth, and how a human developing the more composition of three basic nature. Out of 5 tattvas, 3 tattvas as per the astrology also, which are fire, earth, and water. So as they add more of those compositions to their deeper consciousness, that makes them more complete, such as Abdul Kalam or many of those personalities. So if a person completely attached to the earthy sort of a composition, still there is a gravity which is pulling in that person. So that person has not achieved the higher level of consciousness. Water is more fluid and more flexible. It can take the shape, wherever it has been kept. And similarly, fire is
so we can adapt to any situation. As a personality, yes, we can adapt to more situations.
Adapt to more situations versus earthy situation.
So we are more happy now. So we are more happy.
Yeah.
Water will be more happy, than earth, isn't it?
Yeah,
With
because
less conditions being met, water can be happy. Earth requires more conditions to be met.
right, sir.
Uh,
And also, if we correlate the water with Radha and Dhara, again there is a flow. The reverse flow, maybe for the outer world it seems to be pretty tough, but for the person who is going through that person is not feeling tired, because there is a inner happiness, because the flow is definitely reverse.
So, like for the earth dominated consciousness, difficult to compromise, difficult to bend, difficult to yield, difficult to feel happy because it has rigid conditions for happiness. Earth is rigidity. Earth is rigidity.
Right.
If you have rigid opinions about what is right, what is wrong, rigid opinions about preconceived notions for happiness. Unless I earn this much, I won't be happy. Unless I become that, I won't be happy. I have to become an IAS officer. I will sit and prepare for 5 years. Right? Right, UPSC. Many people do it. That is fire and that is earth, both. Here, water is missing. What if I don't clear the UPSC exam? 5 years go waste. Then I will commit suicide. Fire and earth, water missing, suicide.
Right.
Or destruction outside. As earth, you gain negative experiences, you become violently angry, fire, you destroy everything. So water element is cooling down the whole system. The water is calmness, coolness, love, acceptance, yielding disposition. The yin part, no? Yang and yin part. You yield, you understand. Beyond a limit, you cannot control. You understand that my opinions are written on water, not on stone. So in a conversation, you listen, you speak, you become quiet, you express opinion, then you become aware the other person is not open. You keep quiet. Each element to integrate that is a whole, whole territory. Very conscious awareness is required. That is why meditation is very important. Sometimes meditate upon this, sometimes upon that. As you meditate upon different things, you integrate them into your nature. So these are very beautiful meditations upon the earth element, upon the water element. Is earth element bad? No, it's not bad. Let's say that I love Amma. She is my guru. Now earth element helps me to stick to Amma. I don't go shopping for gurus. Someone tells me about Sai Baba and then I become Sai Baba devotee. Someone tells about that, then I become. So earth element helps me to become loyal. So if I get married, then I'm loyal to my wife. That is earth element. That is good. The stability of the earth is good. Rigidity of the earth is bad. Stability of earth is good. Rigidity is bad. Flexibility of water is good, but lack of fire of water is bad. And the energy of fire is good, but destructiveness of fire is not good. Like that. Each element has a strength and a weakness. Expansiveness of air is good, but lack of discrimination of air is bad. And to gain discrimination, fire is needed. You have to study to understand the reality. Without fire, you can't study. Tejas is called fire. Tejas is intelligence. Fire of knowledge, no? Right? So, this is a very beautiful way to look at reality. These 5 elements. They are a course in themselves. You have to really understand these things. So, like that. And space is, you embrace all. But, you embrace all, but you pick vibrations. So, you know which vibration to choose. See, I can love the criminal unconditionally, but that doesn't mean that I make him sleep in my bedroom with me, because he can get up in the night and cut my throat. So ultimately, to live on this earth, we need all the 5 elements and their qualities. Not be biased towards one. That will be a complete person. That is Krishna. That is to become Krishna. Krishna is a perfect personality, has integrated all the elements and is Brahman. And that is why God made this universe. He wants to become Krishna in his experience. That is every soul's destiny, ultimately. Till every soul becomes Krishna, God will not rest. That is the idea. Let's say I become, but God is happy that I became, but then Sachit is left behind, Raj is left behind. He will keep working tirelessly. In the meanwhile, the lion will become man. Lion man. But the lion man has to go through many incarnations before he becomes the Buddha man or Krishna man. So God is on a restless. One part of God is restless, teacher, the evolver. Another part of God is the resplendent Brahman, right? And then there is a guru or a master, which is God in nature and which knows the entire matrix inside out and hence can become an expert guide in the matrix. That is an avatar, guru, master, teacher. Now, if you have this perspective, life suddenly is very interesting. And no more a dreary drudgery, of eking out an existence. So it's not that spiritual people are very boring people or they are having a very insipid life just because they don't go to Kulu Manali or Hawaii all the time, or they are not found drinking alcohol all the time. They are enjoying their own alcohol, inside. So own happiness inside. So as you go deeper and deeper in consciousness, happiness becomes your nature more and more, because you are happiness, Satchidananda Brahman. As you shed more and more tamas and gain more and more sattva, you gain more and more happiness. In fact, Sattvic people, the whole aura starts to shine slowly. Your face, your body, your environment starts to reflect who you are from inside, slowly. Your eyes, your way you talk, the way you carry yourself. There is a presence, sixth sense of human beings is able to pick that. Even dogs and animals can pick. It is said that when a very great saint or someone is like that, in their presence, they become pacified and peaceful. So that is kshetra gyan. Inner kshetra that you have, that is what we are owning, and we are trying to develop that kshetra. In a way, you are a farmer, cultivating a field, and that field is you only. You are the farmer, you are the field, and you are the gardener. Everything is you only. You are the process, you are the outcome, you are the subject. This whole tamasa, this whole universe is made for you only. It's a school in which you are studying and growing in consciousness. It's a very, very deep perspective. And there are many great teachers, many great books with which we can connect as we go further along. Because what I'm sharing today is the fundamental structure of our consciousness. Like, in a way, Rajiv's consciousness, the way Rajiv sees life. I think today was a very useful but very heavy class. In today's class, I have shared the way I see things, the way I have lived my life. Maybe both of you can tell me what you gather and how it resonates with your lifestyle and how you have been developing since childhood, how you have been thinking since childhood, how it is being modified with time. And then using all that, you connect with what I shared. And then going forward, how you plan to live your life, and how we should be carrying our your life sessions in future. Right? I'll keep quiet. Maybe 2-3 minutes, both of you can speak. Anyways, it is being recorded. That is very useful. So we can again go back and see again what we shared today.
Sir, I think when I'm going back, I may not be able to summarize or entirely, but I'm just trying to reflect whatever key aspects. The question that I was asking about, and then you also answered about, decision, how you can arrive at a decision, all of it. So, and also you gave the entire process of what are the most important aspects, right, in life, financially, spiritually, and personally, what stage you want to reach at. And we also spoke about how you'll be able to make that discrimination, how that higher intelligence can come to give you the guidance of what is right for you. What I was able to make sense, or what I usually even till now do, is until I reach that level. Yes, we are all. I mean, I'm going towards that, or in that direction of wanting to seek the ultimate truth. But until I'm able to reach that place of intuition, you said about you'll when the space element is higher, you'll be able to discriminate or immediately feel or become highly intuitive of what is exactly right for you or what is good for you or not. Until I am there, I also use that in the previous class. I was talking about trust. So I also use that element, and I kind of surrender that, if certain, until I am able to make that decision, if these things are for the highest good for me, usually I always use that in my personal choices, that if these decisions are for the highest benefit or higher good for me, I request the divinity for allowing that to unfold in my reality. And if it is not, I allow it and I accept that is not good for me. So, for example, you also spoke about the water element. You gave an example that, okay, 5 years, earth and fire is there as an element, and the example of IAS, you spend 5 years and pursue IAS officer, and what if it doesn't happen? If it doesn't happen and you're still completely in the taken over by the elements of earth and fire, it can also go into the destructive mode of of not achieving that, of not getting the expected outcome. So rather
you
than
become depressed, you may commit suicide, you may ruin your life with drug addiction, and
any number of things, right? So
nihilism. No, you become destroy yourself out of sheer anger. No, you get so frustrated.
Yeah. So what I use personally from in my experience, what I do is, because I've completely used that surrendering and that trust, I accept that fact. Okay, if this is what was requested, this is my intention. I would make my own understanding of various aspects, like you said, either financially, personally, or if it is some desire in me which I had and I want to do it for some time and come back, or whatever. All of those intelligent aspects of the mind, if I use, and then I intend that yes, if I want to choose X as an option, but I also surrender it always with the higher intelligence to allow it to happen or not. Because I feel that I'm in a current situation, I may not be able to see at a higher dimension of what could be a better out of whether it's going to be beneficial for me completely or not. So I take it both ways. I let go of it in the trust that if it is happening, it is for the best. If it is not happening, I'm still completely happy, and I know in complete trust that this is the best that has happened for me. So that is a better way, and that's the reason that this didn't unfold into my life. So that is the way I personally choose, especially the bigger decisions in my life. I use this. So this is my personal experience.
So no, it is what you are describing. Just to connect to what we just discussed, you are living a very beautiful life where earth element, fire element, and water element, all three we can see.
Hmm.
You are making efforts, fire element. You have intelligent goals, fire element.
Yeah.
Fire is intelligence also. You make efforts, fire element. And you are very stable and focused, that is earth element. And if you succeed, you are very happy, and that is again, water element, happiness, feelings, that is water element, all that, emotions are water element. But if you don't succeed, you surrender to God, you yield very quickly, that is again water element, that is bhakti.
Yeah.
So your life is basically a mix of bhakti and karma yoga, and also viveka. You know that maybe I'm not able to make correct decisions, but God knows better than me. He's my higher parent. If he didn't give it to me despite my efforts, he knows why. Maybe that was not good for me. Right. So you are a very beautiful example of living life with integrating these three elements: earth element, fire element, and water element. So what I was telling Raj, as a result, you are a very beautiful person, because if water was missing in you, you will not be this beautiful person. Today, what is happening on earth is that people simply want to become air and ether without integrating the water into them. Overuse of fire. They're neglecting their heart. Water element is heart, feelings. No, the fire of ambition is burning so brightly that by hook or by crook we want to gain. That is fire, all right, but it is not the fire of discrimination. It's a mad fire. See, fire can be used to cook food. Fire can be used to destroy everything. Which one you want? You want a trained fire. So fire has to be molded under the guidance, tutelage of a master, teacher, wisdom, literature. Fire has to study Bhagavad Gita and stuff like that. Understand deeper aspects of truth. Okay. Very nice, Sachit. Anything else you want to add, Sachit?
I had a question, but I don't think we have the time for it.
I can give a quick answer if you.
Sure. So I always had this question. That's a very basic question. Probably could help others, and even for me personally, rather. It is about, many people do the readings of astrology. I mean, definitely astrology has a great science and, understanding various aspects and how the impact of all of these, like you gave the field within the field within the field, how all of those impact can be with a particular person. And that question came when you started explaining about certain elements that, okay, house 1, 2, 3 are more dominant on Earth. You gave those examples, and I'm not well versed with those houses of the astrology. But my question was, when we do these readings and when we say, right, for me, in my personal experience, I tend to kind of hold to that beliefs. So rather I avoid those readings, or I avoid looking into those aspects that, this can be, for example, I'll just give a small example. Say that, say if the earth element is very dominant in one particular combination of houses, and if I as a person am belonging to that house, for example. So if I take that as my self-belief, we also in the previous classes learned about how self-belief has a huge impact. So for me, I really take self-belief as very core. So if I do such readings and I see that, okay, I'm dominant to particular aspects of life, then I might tend to be in that trap rather. And I don't evolve, or I don't, transcend that sometimes. So I try to avoid that reading, and I rather think that we are in,
Here, actually, you are making a mistake. Purpose to know our horoscope is not to get trapped by the horoscope.
Correct.
Purpose of reading the horoscope is spiritually.
Yes.
The two purposes. One is to see what will happen when.
Yeah.
I'm discarding that. I'm not interested in that. In these classes, we don't bother about what will happen when, because one thing is guaranteed: 100 years down the line, both of us will be dead. So, having said that, death is certain at some age. Whatever happens is happening between birth and death only.
Correct.
And since we are taking a perspective, we are immortal souls, we have entered the matrix, we'll exit the matrix at some point of time. So we are not worried about what will happen when. We are more worried about raising our consciousness. You know what I'm saying? We are more worried about raising our, not worried, focused upon raising our consciousness. So from that perspective, whether something adds to my awareness or not. So astrological reading of your chart adds to your awareness. It tells you this is your current constitution. And these are the expected events in your life if the current trends continue. So in a way, it is like, certain past has yielded this current present life. But as I told earlier, the present life is like a seed. The present moment is like a seed. So see, if a seed is dropped in the wilderness in a desert, it may get scorched and die. It falls in a forest, it may grow into a wild tree. But the same seed given to a gardener who puts it beautifully in a place and takes care of that. Out of the three possibilities, which tree will be the most wonderful?
The one taken care of. And
the third one. So like that, everyone's life is like a seed. Present moment is a seed. Some seeds have fallen in the slum area somewhere, like that is falling in the desert. The everything surrounding that seed is very, very violent and very, 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 turbulent. That seed may not become a very beautiful tree, it may become a criminal. I'm talking about human seed now. But some seed falls in a forest somewhere, maybe in a remote village somewhere, no school, nothing, may grow a little bit. Whatever the earthy wisdom, it may grow. But some seed may fall in a place and, may study in Amrita and in IIM and Harvard and Stanford and go to, 1,000 masters, discourses and retreats. That is like, a gardener. Maybe parents also were very wonderfully rooted in spirituality. So it's very well taken care of. Obviously, this person will grow more, maximum. So think of this example as, you are like that gardener. You are not doing self-parenting. You have become an adult and you have gained this awareness that you can guide yourself to your best self. And in that spirit, now you are living your life. Then in that sense, you can go and read your chart because you are a mature soul now. You know, okay, I am like this because of these factors in my horoscope. But you already know what to become, if to integrate space element, if to integrate God element, if to integrate all the elements. So you won't be trapped. You will see your current lower tendencies as your limitations right now. It is your past which has caused you to become like this. You have this understanding. So my classes are useful in that respect.
Correct. And just to add to that, the core fundamental understanding should be that this is not the only destiny, right? Because
This is the current state in which I am.
We work
Even my
towards,
past.
we work towards gaining all of these elements, like you said, gaining more of good elements of the fire, good elements of the air, good elements of the space. So we work towards that, and that is how I always focus on. But like what I'll contemplate more on this, because once I'm now mature, like you said, now I should be able to add that as an additional benefit rather than be on the fence and take it that this is the only possible destiny. Or
it is very simple, Sachit. You are mature enough now to know that you are a biased human being. You are no longer denying and contradicting that fact. Now, if you understand that, then you have a reading of your chart. It reveals all your biases, all your limitations, and all your strengths, both. It's like a balance sheet, no?
Yeah.
But this is a balance sheet of the previous year.
Okay.
You have an income statement also, right? A financial year coming up now.
Yeah. It's a
Now
previous.
you give your best. You see what I'm saying? So your balance sheet reflects the past.
Mm-hmm.
But have a wonderful now present moment going forward, create a wonderful company out of you. That will help, right? Now, since you know the elements, you know that fire element is wonderful, so you will cultivate it. But understand the difference between a forest fire and a fire in a cooking stove. You want to become fire in a cooking stove. You don't want to become a forest fire.
Correct. Yeah.
Forest fire is unpleasant. It will scorch you. It will cause misery. But fire of a cooking stove, that is a fire which feeds the family. It is a father's fire running the whole household. The father is a fire, no? Running the whole household. Mother is also a fire, cooking early in the morning and doing so many things for the baby. Right? Both have a fire. But that is healthy fire. Sustains the household. Right? Not a wild fire. Alexander's fire, I'll conquer the whole world. That is not needed. That is madness. Okay. Wonderful, Sachit. You okay, Raj?
Yes. Sir, I can take a few minutes to talk a little bit about how this journey started. That was your question, right? In terms of what is that you are trying to correlate from this class. Sir, I'll share a few insights and then I'll connect to this topic. So since my childhood, I've been always thinking about being careful or caring for everybody. So often that has been looked at by people that, hey, this guy is emotionally weak. So then in my mind, I always thought about if 100 trees are cut, I think about them, where these trees were cut. But others are just ignoring it. And somebody got cheated within my family and others are peacefully able to sleep, but I'm not able to sleep because I'm thinking about that person who got that pain. So this has been my journey, sir, in terms of caring has been one of my strengths. And Sachit spoke about trust. So I easily get disturbed if trust is broken, be it anybody. Even if I see that somebody is breaking the trust within my own family members, I get disturbed. So this disturbance, has been seen as a weakness, but to me that has been my strength because though I'm very much occupied with my profession, I'm still be able to give time to other people and put myself into their shoes and understand their challenge, understand their emotional, journey, what they're going through. So the reason why I'm sharing this is, sir, just because I know a bit of astrology, people would reach out to me for multiple purpose, multiple reasons, and they try to get some solution. The way people reach out to you, because the moment they call you, they know that you have a solution for them. So that has been your strength, and many people would reach out to me. So this journey has always helped me to upgrade myself into the consciousness. That way, I don't want to be one of those family members in my family who are not even thinking of growth aspects of their life. I'm not financially talking about it, sir. I'm talking about their spiritual growth. So the topic that we had today, so kshetra kshetragna, is something that actually made me think about everybody is a kshetra, and every person is also a kshetra, and everything is a kshetra, and there is a field inside the field. And who will build the cat? Who is that kshetragna? How a person can move himself from unconsciousness to consciousness. So being a non-kshetragna to a kshetragna person. So this is something which I could think of from this class.
Very good.
Yeah, and Sastit, I have a wonderful question. In fact, before starting astrology, I had a lot of questions in terms of, hey, is it really true, and so on and so forth. Maybe I share my thoughts with Sastit, may deliberate question, or maybe we can also discuss. So if we can read others' horoscope, we can read our own horoscope too. The reason why I'm saying this is, the moment we know our horoscope, it tells the purpose of our life. What is the purpose of my life? Of course, making money, taking care of family, responsibility, children. Despite all this, what is the purpose of my life? If I put it that way, if I share, a few things what I have observed in very few sentences. One thing what I know is I cannot definitely make my livelihood out of any shadow businesses. Maybe putting money in some business, illegal business, and so on and so forth. It's very clear in my horoscope that I cannot earn money through that means. I have to work hard. I have to work in a specific field, specific industry. Those things are indicated. When I know that, that is the reality. I have accepted that, and I'm definitely comfortable with it. I don't want to make more money out of stocks. Overnight, I want to put my money into stocks, and then after 3 months, I want to become a millionaire. I know those things are not going to happen in my horoscope, and that's the reality which I've accepted. So similarly, there are so many other realities which I have understood by reading my horoscope, and I know it's not going to happen. So that is one thing which would give anybody as a strength if you want to learn astrology and then take the help of astrology. Of course, there are a few people who would try to exploit this subject and then feed in negative things. But yeah, when it comes to the ethics of an astrologer, they need to take the moral responsibility of saying or being mindful of what they're saying to the other person, because we don't know how the other person is going to perceive. And most of the people, when they come to any astrologer, they keep it in mind that, hey, everything this person tells me, it should be positive. So if that is a mindset, I think we need to be extremely careful while sharing some of those insights to them. So these are my thoughts, and back to you, sir.
Yes, actually, astrology, like any other subject, if treated properly, is useful with maturity. I already explained to Sachit like the perspective that I take.
Right.
It's like becoming aware rather than becoming less aware. So if I can become little bit aware, for example, to give another example, like let's say you have in the horoscope some weak organ being indicated, and you are getting complications in that system, physical system, repeatedly. Then maybe if right now, whatever your age such is, maybe how old you will be such is roughly right now?
31, sir.
Around 31, 32, around this age, if you become aware of that weakness in your system, you can choose food habits, you can choose lifestyle habits that kind of minimize that. You may also learn about remedies which may overcome that. So karmas are of many types, dridha, adridha, and dridha, like dridha is like something which you cannot overcome, next to impossible to overcome. So obviously that is like that, so you need not worry about that. Then adrid karma is, lot of karmas are like that. There adrid means they are like written on water, you can modify them. And then there are like little bit more severe karmas which are more difficult to eradicate, but you can if you really have enough fire in you. So it's not that all is a gone case. If you know your future, it's completely cast in stone. It's not like that. Future, as shown in the horoscope, is not cast in stone. Let's say 95% of that you can transform, channelize. Okay. And also, more important than the horoscope is that you yourself as a person, you can use that knowledge to transform yourself. For example, like exaltation of planets. Now, the way I use it is, Jupiter is exalted in, let's say, Cancer. Just to give an example, you can learn it later. I'll teach also. In Cancer, Cancer is owned by Moon. Moon is emotions, and Jupiter is Guru. So Guru in the house of emotions, house of mother, is exalted means what? A great teacher is like a mother. A great teacher is very empathetic. He cares for the student like a mother does for the child. That is what is a learning. So if you are in teaching profession, that inspires you to become like a mother. You see what I'm saying? Like that. Saturn is exalted in Libra, which is like Tula, like balance. So you become a very balanced person. You share your perspective, listen to the other person. You have your own judgments, and others have their own judgments. So you try to integrate everyone's perspective. That is a healthy Saturn. Because normally Saturn can become very judgmental. But no, Saturn is exalted when it becomes non-judgmental and accommodates everyone's perspective. So like that, no. So these planets and their exaltations and many other things, millions of things are there that teach us how to become a better person. So we can actually frame our weaknesses in spiritual terms using astrology. The way I teach it, I teach astrology from the perspective of spirituality. As a soul, what I can learn from the astrology, that is my perspective. It's not about my horoscope. It is about the way God has created the universe. It is like a whole life plan. The spectrum I was telling about Raj, tamas, rajas, sattva. The whole spectrum is visible in the astrology field. We go from tamasic houses to the sattvic houses. We go from tamasic planets to the sattvic planets. We go from tamasic nakshatras to the sattvic nakshatras. And we understand each one of them, let's say. So as an astrologer who understands each nakshatra, each house, each rashi, each planet, you have become such a fantastically wise human being. So by knowing such knowledge, how you will not change? Is it possible? Are you following what I'm saying? An extremely wise person, will he not grow multifariously, in a multi-pronged manner? Is it possible to grow wisdom to a very high degree and not become loving and not become tolerant? Is it possible? Not possible. And not to attract prosperity. If you are a great teacher, when you teach, many students will throng to your classes. So earning money will not be difficult. So anything that you gain sufficiently, which is sattvic in nature, Lakshmi cannot remain away from you. With true knowledge, Lakshmi also comes. So they are saying that, Mahakali is searching for Mahalakshmi, and Mahalakshmi is searching for Mahasaraswati. And Mahasaraswati brings both of them automatically. Why? Because they both are searching. So wisdom is the ultimate God. Cultivate wisdom, Lakshmi, abundance will come, happiness will come. Mahakali, courage will come automatically. Mahakali is courage, strength to fight. So if you cultivate wisdom, both strength and abundance come. But when you don't have wisdom, you need strength. When you don't have abundance, you need strength. Right? So first step is strength, then you gain the wealth. When you gain the wealth, don't drink alcohol and waste money, buy books, buy courses, do seminars, webinars, do Vipassana courses. Use the money for the sattvic purposes. Cultivate Saraswati. That is the teaching. So on that note, we can end today. Tamas, Rajas, Sattva. And Sattva includes everything. So in a way, I have answered Raj's question again. Composition of truth and the spectrum of consciousness. Right? So Mahakali is needed for a weak man. Mahakali is needed for an unfortunate man. Strength to fight the adverse circumstances is needed. But you will fight better if you had the guidance of a true teacher, the Saraswati aspect. Otherwise, you can fight like a blind man also. Criminals are fighting, but fighting the wrong war. So we have to fight the right war. Okay, and the best war is against our own unconsciousness. Okay. Okay.
Beautiful class.
Thank you so much, sir. Beautiful one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye.